Okay. Good morning. Good afternoon. There. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening, wherever part of the world you are. Welcome to International Internship University. It's a leading global virtual education system and global brand confederation, which is the most valuable and trusted worldwide and well reputed in delivering innovative programs. Globally, it is a trusted name for quality training programs and is committed to providing better and virtual education to all the young learners of the globe. IIU is metamorphosing the conventional education system by cutting down the additional costs and providing access to more than 1,000 plus courses and internships to their e-learners across the globe with the help of its 1,000 plus global educators. In a short span of time, IIU has spread its wing in 195 countries and 6 continents under the strong leadership of its visionary founder, Mr. Piyush Pandit Sir, a committed and inspiring social activist, a passionate educationist from the last 2 decades, providing education to students from various social and cultural backgrounds. IIU has formed its 4 councils, namely Women Entrepreneurs Council, International Student Development Council, International Youth Development Council, International Council of Educators. The main objective behind the councils is to provide support in every respect to the students, youth, women, entrepreneurs, and educators. IIU is coming up with the biggest knowledge exchange program, BIKEP or BIKEP, and all the students are invited to be part of it. IIU have started the membership drive for the International Student Development Council. The registration are open. Be the change with IIU. My name is Eric Tandoc. Today, I'm giving a presentation about one of the most important topic that we need to learn. And this is the art of giving and receiving feedback. I'm the founder and coach under my coaching program, which is known as Confidently Speaking Coaching Program. And I'll be giving a benefit, a positive and supportive learning development, step-by-step guides to starting your journey in coaching to write your book. And I founded this organization in 2019 together with my facilitation in youth leadership program. In 2020, I published my book about presentation and confidence building, which became Amazon best-selling book. And the title is Say It Loud, Say It Proud. After 2 years, it's still in the top 100 in the field of public speaking and presentation. Now, before we start, I would like to mention 2 objectives about our presentation today. At the end of this presentation, you will get to know more why feedback is important in your workplace, career, and life. And the second objective, important steps to learn from feedback. We have 2 objectives today. And this will be also the expectation after this presentation. But before that, I would like to ask questions. Why are we reluctant to give evaluations? And the other question, Why do people don't like to receive feedback? What do you think? Now, if I ask every one of you what is meant by feedback, I might get different definition. But in the purpose of this presentation, feedback means information about reaction to a product, to a person, to a performance of a task, which is used as a basis for improvement. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to remind the keywords here in this definition of feedback as a basis for improvement. That means to say we are giving feedback for the improvement of other people. We help them to progress and give a positive result. That should be our main objectives when we give feedback or evaluation. Now, feedback can be used in any aspect in your workplace, in your organization, any school, to your students, to your children, to your friends, everyone around you. Particularly if those people ask you for a feedback, any kind of feedback. Again, going back to our definition, any reaction about a product, a person, or a performance, right? Like in school, the performance of your student, you are giving a feedback. But of course, it's really difficult for us to give feedback if we will not learn the simple tips, the simple art of giving and receiving feedback. Now, we call feedback as satisfaction. We can also call it as a judgment. We can call it also as a critics, or a view, or opinion, or satisfaction. In my more than 20 years of experience in leading fast food industry of the world, we usually receive feedback from the customers. And some are critics, some are constructive feedback, and some are negative as well. We also give feedback to our employees. So you see, we receive and we give feedback in our daily life. Even the way we act, even the way we do our presentation, in our teaching, we are always getting feedback, verbally or non-verbally. Some, they don't tell you their feedback. And that's the worst if they don't tell a feedback because you never know if they are satisfied or not. Another very close meaning of feedback, also, we know it as evaluations. So they mean the same thing. All right. According to Henry Cloud, an American author, he once said that the natural response to evaluation is to feel judged, and we have to mature to a area where we respond to it with gratitude and love the feedback. Right. So we should respond with open arms, with open mind, and we should love feedback. Now, if you're really willing to learn, you should know how to receive feedback. And also, if you are willing to help others, then you are also willing to give feedback. Remember my two questions. Why do people reluctant to give feedback? And why do people don't want to accept feedback? In reality, people only want good compliments. That's true. Look at your social media. When you post something, when you post your picture, what is the number one thing that you want to see? The number of likes. right? Or the good comments. We want to see that congratulations, you look awesome, you look great. Because in reality, you want to get only compliments, praises. But of course, we tend to avoid or we get hurt if we get constructive criticism. Again, if you can accept compliment, then you should also accept feedback that will help you progress. I would like to share this quote, and this is one of my favorite actually. You learn nothing from life if you think you're right all the time. And this is very true, right? That's why I'm making this presentation worldwide. I've been into different platforms and organization because this is one of my favorite topic because I always believe that feedback is the breakfast of champion. So you learn nothing from life if you think you're not right all the time. Okay. So we really need feedback and we really need to get evaluations, no matter how it's destructive or constructive it is. Of course, in this presentation, we are all educators. We want to focus on giving a constructive evaluation. In my experience, I'm getting lots of questions in my messenger, particularly in my Facebook, asking me to give feedback on their presentation. And if a person asks you to give a feedback on his or her presentation, that's actually a sign that they respect you. As a coach and mentor of public speaking, I always give feedback and I need to be honest, right? And how do you give feedback? Of course, going back to the definition that I mentioned to you want them to succeed because the purpose here is to give them a positive impact and result. Feedback is also one of the elements of public speaking. Okay? I will not discuss the other six, but we will going to focus on evaluation, which is a very important part of public speaking. Evaluation is like a sister of public speaking. There will be no public speaking without proper feedback or evaluation. So take note, evaluation is one of the important element of public speaking. Very important. Now, we will use the basis of a speaker in our presentation. But again, I would like to emphasize here that feedback is also in school, in your workplace, in your surroundings, in your circle of friends. That's very important. Even in a person to person basis, we always give and receive feedback. But for the purpose of this presentation, I would like to focus on a speaker. And of course, all educators also or teachers are like a public speaker because they are speaking in front of their students in the classroom. Now, in my book, Say It Loud, Say It Proud, there are three things that your audience will look into you when you are doing your presentation or you're doing your lecture. Number one, how the speaker looks. Number two, how the speaker sound. And one of the most important, again, is the how the speaker organizes his materials. Many speakers will only focus in one out of the three, or probably they focus on two out of the three, but neglecting the other one. One speaker may be very good in organizing his materials. He sound very good, but he forgot to check how he looks. Or one speaker maybe look good, he dress well, he organize his materials very well, but unfortunately, he doesn't sound good because of any distraction, or probably he's not that prepared, or probably he's not that too confident to do lecture at that given time. So again, as I mentioned, some speaker forgot one or two, but if you really want to get a good evaluation in your presentation, you should remember these three important aspects wherein your audience will going to give evaluations to you. Even just by watching, you are already being judged. So what's the first one? How you look, how you sound, and how you organize your material. Okay. Now, let's tackle the first one. How you look. Why do you need to dress well? Of course, dressing well will make you more confident, right? And also, have you heard about the so-called first impression last? So that is the first thing that they will notice of you, how you dress, right? Particularly if you are first timer to speak in that particular organization, or let's say you are in person and that's your first time to visit that school or that organization, they will notice you how you should dress well, right? So that's important. How you look as a speaker, as a lecturer, as a presenter, you will get immediate judgment. They may not tell you, it may be in their only mind, in their own observation, but they will already judge you. They always say that the first thing that they will notice in you is your shoes, right? So don't just focus on your out, outlook or your dress or your suit. You should also be observant about your shoes, because that's also the first time that they notice. Psychology says that they will always notice your shoes. So, number one, you will get an evaluation verbally or non-verbally on how you dress well, how you look. And of course, when you dress well, you never know that will be an opportunity for you to be invited again. It's an opportunity. Next one is how the speaker sounds. Are you confident? Are you clear? Or are you nervous? How about low voice? Low voice means you are not that confident. So be very careful on how you sound. I'll give you one tip too when doing presentation. Even the native speaker of English avoid certain words that they can't pronounce well. Okay? So go for the basic words that you can pronounce. You are confident enough and comfortable to pronounce that word. Okay? You don't need to say a word that you can't even pronounce. Otherwise, you will lose the meaning of that word and your audience will not going to understand what you're saying. They said, simple is beautiful. Always remember that. And be yourself. Again, on the loudness of your voice, how loud you are, right? You don't want to too loud, but you don't want to too low. You want to be clear. And how to be clear in your sound? You should speak slowly. That's the technique. Okay, particularly if English is not your native tongue. In fact, even native speakers, the Americans, the Canadians, the British, sometimes we can understand them is because they speak too fast. So that's the number two. You will get evaluations on how you sound. Right now, I know I'm getting evaluations. That is how you sound. There you go, the organization. Okay? How you organize your material. If you do your lecture and presentation and you are disorganized, right? You don't practice it very well. You don't organize your slides. You don't organize your talk. Then chances are you will not get a good evaluation. So you should organize your material, the number of your slides, be considerate of the time that they gave you, right? If you have 30 minutes presentation, then you organize your presentation that will fit into a 30 minutes presentation. Okay? If you are given only 10 minutes and you have like 30 slides, I don't think that will enough time for you. So you should organize. Okay, check your slide, check your presentation. Okay, rehearse your presentation. That's how you organize your material. Okay, moving on. For the purpose of this presentation, we have two kinds of feedback, which is the constructive and negative. I want to dwell on the constructive. But sometimes, even if we want to help people to give a good feedback, sometimes our tone of voice affect our evaluation. It's not what you say actually, it's how you say it. I'm going to repeat that. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Now let's go to one presentation. It looks like we have two presentations. The first is how to give feedback. The second is how to receive feedback. Now, how to give feedback. Very important is your attention. The next one is the sandwich method. And the next one, last one is show you care. When I mean I care, I use the acronym CARE, which is CARA. Let's discuss about the attention. Attention. To be able to give a good feedback, 100% of your attention should be given, particularly to the speaker. You're not in your phone or talking to others, because if you don't listen attentively, then you will not give a good evaluation. So again, giving feedback, it's about listening actively, taking the time to analyze, then thinking of positive solutions for a better performance of that particular person. So the art of attention is very important in the art of giving feedback. The next important, what is feedback sandwich? Have you heard about feedback sandwich? The feedback sandwich, imagine the sandwich. The sandwich is composed of three layers: the upper layer, the middle part, and the lower layer. In fast food industry, the upper layer, they call it the crown. And then whatever in the middle, maybe the patty, the ketchup, the onions, that is the middle part. And the lower part, they call it heel. Okay? So think about sandwich. And we will use that analogy in our most important tip on how to give feedback. And I'm going to walk through you about this method of giving feedback. Let's go more. There you go. Feedback. Again, positive feedback on top. That represents the upper layer of the sandwich. The middle layer represents something, feedback that you wanna tell. And then the lower layer represent more positive feedback. To summarize feedback sandwich, it's giving first positive feedback, the feedback for improvement, and another positive feedback. Okay, I'm going to give an example of using the feedback sandwich. Example, if I'm going to give evaluation to one particular person in his presentation, this is what I'm going to say. You have a very good topic. You presented it very well. That is the opening, and that is positive feedback. Next, you want to give him improvement. However, I noticed that you don't have enough slide to support your presentation. You may want to challenge yourself next time to give a strong slides for a stronger presentation. That's tip for improvement. And lastly, transitioning to the lower part or lower layer, which is representing positive feedback. Moreover, I like how you sound. You spoke clearly and you know your subject very well. See, that's a good example of feedback sandwich. You're giving a positive and then something constructive and something another positive to wrap up the whole evaluation. Now, to summarize what is feedback sandwich, this is the format. First, something positive to wrap up the discussion. And then the feedback that you actually wanted to give for his or her improvement. And next, of course, something else positive to soften the real feedback. There you go. That is feedback method. Another one that I created is this one, the care. In giving feedback, you should give your care, but I use the acronym CARE as well to help you give a good feedback. And the care means you compliment, you address, you resolve, and encourage. How do you do that? Of course, you give your compliment. You give the positive aspect of what they did well. And then you address certain things that you think and you feel that needs improvement. Take into consideration when you give constructive feedback, it's how impacted you, how you feel. Okay? Because this is not all about you. This is about the progress of a certain individual. Now, the moment that you address that certain things that you want them to improve on, then resolve. How do you resolve? Maybe give suggestions. But again, it's a suggestion. It's up to the person if he or she will take your suggestion. That is a result. And lastly, you encourage him or her to do the things that he loved to do. So again, that is care. Compliment, address, resolve, encourage. How do you use the care method? Be a coach, not a critic. Okay? We should not criticize. Although another term for feedback is like critics, but we want as much as possible want to give a constructive criticism and not a destructive criticism. Okay? You are not a coach, you are not a teacher, you are not a mentor if you go for destructive criticism. So that's the three basic tips in giving a feedback. First, your 100% attention without judgment, negative judgment. Second, the sandwich method. And the third is the care, which is stands for you complement, you address, resolve, and encourage. Now, how to receive feedback? We are now in our second part of our presentation, and this is actually the difficult one. As I mentioned earlier, people actually wants only compliments and good praises, but they tend to get hurt when they receive even a constructive feedback. So how are you going to receive a feedback? Practice, practice, and practice. Okay, you need to practice your presentation, your lecture, go over your slides. Okay, take into consideration the three things: how you look, how you sound, and how you organize your material. Okay, because you will get an effective evaluation from your audience the moment that you presented your lecture or your presentation, because of that preparation, planning, and practice. Okay. One way to get an effective evaluation is to find a mentor. You should have a mentor. Your good friend, your family, relatives will be a mentor. Or you can get a coach. You should engage a coach. Okay. Number one, practice. The next one, so that you can receive a good feedback and avoid yourself from distraction or hurting your feelings, is set yourself up for success. Okay? You plan and prepare, you practice your speech, and you present your talk to your audience. So set yourself up for success. Okay? That's another tip on how to receive a good feedback. Okay? If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. It's very simple. Okay, so plan and prepare. Very important. Even the world class athlete, the Olympic Games is every 4 years, and yet they prepare and plan mentally, physically, emotionally, as well as spiritually for that world class competition. They have 4 years. The same with thing with your lecture, your presentation. If you're going to present for an hour, you should practice that one. And most speakers that I notice, they go over time because they don't prepare and plan very well. Okay? So set yourself up for success. Next one, of course, learn from the feedback. Okay? That's very, very basic. Learn from the feedback. How? Be coachable. You should be teachable and then apply what you learn. Always remember, if you want to win, you have to be willing to be judged by others. Because feedback is the breakfast of champion. To learn from the feedback. Okay? Don't get hurt. I have this mentality that I'd rather get constructive feedback for my improvement than getting a silent treatment, right? Because you never know if they are satisfied with your performance or not. Just like in a restaurant, if you are the chef of that restaurant and you are not getting any feedback from your customer, what will you gonna say or what will you gonna think, right? So I'd rather get a feedback rather than a silent treatment. Okay, because that's what I'm going to learn. So be coachable, okay? Be teachable, be humble enough to get feedback, no matter how it's destructive or how it's constructive. Okay, so remember what I mentioned earlier. You should not think that you are always right. Again, I would like to reemphasize this one. If you really want to win, you have to be willing to be judged by others. The next one, of course, I would like to share this acronym to everyone, and hopefully this will retain in your memory after this presentation. I call it Q-tip, and it stands for quit taking it personally. Don't take it personally if you get a remarks that they said that you need to improve on something. Don't take it personally. Okay? Remember this acronym. And this is very, very effective. Few tip with taking it personally. Even those positive remarks, don't take it personally. Because if you take it personally, it will get into your head, and what will happen next? Again, always be humble, always be grateful. Now, if you get a criticism or judgment or opinion or remarks that you don't like it, because you are always expecting compliments and praises, I would like to suggest to you that you should remember this very important acronym, which is QTIP. Okay? Grab a pen and paper, write it down, and remember this QTIP, which stands for quit taking it personally. Now, again, how to receive feedback? Of course, practice, practice, and practice. Next one, you set up yourself for success. You should plan and prepare carefully. Third one, learn from the feedback. Okay, be humble enough to take any kind of feedback and learn from it. And the most important, and receiving feedback is this. And I would like this. Please remember this acronym. Quit taking it personally. Okay? So that is the importance of giving feedback. And feedback is everywhere. Okay? So many of us have walked away actually from certain things because we wish that we want to get a positive feedback instead of something that we don't like. Okay? Yeah. You never get a second chance to make a good impression. So, all right. So, okay. So, audience always responds. Again, this is a review on three things. And remember those three things, okay? If you are an experienced speaker, you will have 100% attention to all those things. The how you look, how you sound, and how you organize your material. So as a teacher, you should organize your presentation or your lecture or the one that you will give your subject matter. It's not only important that you know your subject matter, but you know how to organize it so that you will going to convey the right message. Okay, so again, that's our two presentation. I put it in one presentation today, which is how to give and how to receive feedback. And hopefully, I gave value to all of you. As I mentioned earlier, I have one full chapter of evaluations in my book that I published 2 years ago. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me in Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram. You can also email me in confidently speaking institute at gmail.com, or better yet, visit my website and you can ask question there. Look what I'm doing, look what I'm working on, look what I'm love to share. www.bonerictandoc.com. And I'm open to suggestions and feedback as well. So you can reach me out in these platforms and share the feedback of this presentation so that in the future I'll make it better. Because as a champion, as a real winner, I respect feedback from other people like you. Thank you very much for your attention and care. Thank you very much, IIU. And thank you very much to everyone. God bless. Take care. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever part of the world you are. This is Bon Eric Tandoc of Confidently Speaking Institute.